Chapter 12. Hiding in Plain Sight. I don't know how long I was laying in my hiding spot. It seemed like hours, but it could have been longer. I had seen many people running through the forest searching for me, I assume. I think out of fear I lost consciousness. When I woke up, I was no longer in my hiding place, but a wooden cart covered with a tarp and what seemed like firewood. I was being pulled. I felt the bumps. I wasn't tied up, but I was wearing a crystal. But it was different than the ones that the Shrillers wore. It had an uncracked mini glow stick superglued to it. I felt around, trying to see if I could feel anything else. My movements did not go unnoticed by my benefactors. The cart stopped abruptly, and a small note came down the crease of the tarp in the wall. It said, "We found you before them. We are getting you out of here. You're safe. Signed, JB." I breathed a sigh of relief, and I lay motionless, and I listened. A small slot opened in the cart, allowing me to see what was going on. We were still in the forest on a path. JB was pulling the cart, his wife next to him holding what looked like an AR-15 with a suppressor on it. She was about 20 feet ahead of us. Me in the cart, that is. When she turned, I could see she was wearing a glowing crystal. For a second, my heart raced. Was I captured? Is this a ruse? Then I remembered the glow stick. Her crystal had one, too. Camouflage, I thought. Hiding in plain sight. A group of Shrillers approached, and Anthony was with them. They looked at JB and his wife, saw the crystals, and turned like robots. Anthony was still using my wife's voice, calling my name. It was nice to hear her, even if it was a ruse to get me to come out. I now knew I would see her again. My only hope in this crazy world was to get back to my car and my home. I missed my cats, my bed, and my stuff, and the idea of calling her answering machine and leaving messages she won't get because she's at sea. I hope she's all right. It's a thought that haunts me constantly. My PTSD from my accident turned out to be a blessing. The hypervigilance has heightened my senses to a fine edge. The cart started moving again. The trail was unremarkable, except for the bumps. I think I fell out again because time was passing faster now. I felt something on my face, and it smelled really good. It was a tuna fish sandwich. It had been pushed down the side along with a juice bag, and not my favorite. And a note with just 2 words. It says, "You're safe." I ripped it open and checked it for worms. I was afraid to eat, but I did it because I had no choice. Whatever I had eaten, the worms in me were dead at this point. I no longer heard the whisperers in my mind. I ate the tuna. Oh my God, real tuna! Yum! I love fish. I love fish so much, I think I was a shark in another life. The juice box was an apple medley, not my favorite, but fuck it. I needed it. My stomach had been all ripped up, but now felt so much better. The cart stopped again, and I could hear JB say, "Shh! Don't move." I looked out my peek hole, and we were at the forest boundary. I could see the lights of JB's store, but there was a ring of Shrillers we needed to cross. As we approached, JB had to show his crystal. They looked at the cart. Their eyes were not human. They were black. No purple, no pupils, no whites, just black. I had to look away. I could not look at them. I still didn't hear any voices, nothing but silence in my mind. The food, it did something. We started rolling again. I looked and we rolled by them, like we weren't there. We crossed the road and into JB's property. He rolled the cart around back into what looked like a barn-like structure. It was old looking, made out of what looked like corrugated steel, and a heavy metal scraping sound or screeching as JB pulled the door shut. The wood came off, and then the tarp. Looks like you could use a drink and a cot. I need to get back to my hotel room and get my stuff. I don't think we have been properly introduced, Miss JB approached. I'm Veronica Bunto, and this is James Bunto. We towed your car out of the lot a few hours ago, and James collected your stuff way before those things got to it. When we realized you were the next victim, we got off our collective asses together. Your car is in the lot and your stuff is in the trunk. Next year, Rombo Combo. How did you know? I asked. They replied, all the humans around here left in this county hide in plain sight. The things have huge tentacles that come right out of the ground and eat people. If you are not careful, and your idea of driving out of here, not going to happen. You're stuck here like the rest of us. We would shoot them, but we don't want to hurt the hosts. The hosts? I asked. The people taken, most of them are still human, some are not. I sat up and said, I'll take that drink now. James and Veronica walked to a small lighting panel in the wall and opened a box. It had breakers in it and a big red button, which they pressed on the control panel, and the whole room descended like an elevator. As we descended, a huge piece of steel slid over the hole, concealing our descent. The walls of the elevator were lit with lamps covered in metal rings, some glass doors at the bottom. We stepped off the elevator into the room. The elevator ascended. We walked down a large, long white corridor with lights on the ceiling. And I know now I felt like I was in some sort of installation. We went through a hermetically sealed door. I had to identify myself with a retinal scanner. I looked in it and it said James Doyle, my address, and said cleared. The door opened. A computer voice said, welcome to Wildfire, Substation 6. Step into the next room and disrobe. In the next room there was a pool of water on the floor. The computer said, once you've disrobed, enter the pool. I followed the instructions and entered the pool. The water felt funny and good at the same time. It was cool and effervescent. I felt little bubbles. Then the voice said, look up and close your eyes. When I did, I felt a shower of liquid flow over my face and my body, and then auto brushes cleaning me. I also felt like I was being jabbed by needles. The voice said, step into the next room. I obeyed. In the next room there was a pair of goggles. The voice told me to put them on. I did. Then for an instant I saw the brightest light I've ever seen. The voice then said, decontamination complete. I took off the goggles and my skin was covered in soot, and my hair was singed as well. I stepped into the next room and took a hot shower to clean off the burned skin residue, put on a robe and stepped out. Welcome to Substation 6. Please eat and sleep. Clothes will be provided for you. There was a clear broth of some sort and another tuna sandwich. I ate as much as I could and drank the broth. There was a cot in the room with a pill and a glass of water. The computer voice explained that I had been injected with an antidote to the worms, and I needed 11 hours of uninterrupted dreamless sleep. And the pill was a placebo. The broth contained a powerful sedative. I took the pill and drank the water. The cot was form-fitting, so when I laid down on it, it conformed to my body shape, and I fell asleep very quickly. End chapter 12.